All right, so we could be in for a big spectacle this Friday on Capitol Hill. That's when top executives from the failed solar energy company Solyndra say that they will plead the fifth when they appear before a House panel. But will that alone close the door on what Congress can do in order to find out how Solyndra got $500 million in stimulus dollars despite a number of red flags? Fox News legal analyst Peter Johnson Jr. joins me now. Peter, do we first know why they would do this 180? Because first the CEO and the CFO said that they would testify and tell all. Now they're going to plead the fifth.
Yeah, Mr. Harrison and Mr. Stover have, in a sense, lawyered up. And their lawyers are telling them that you must plead the Fifth Amendment at this point. And there's one statement by one of the lawyers that says, well, don't infer anything. This is not an admission of guilt, and it's not an admission of guilt when you take the Fifth Amendment, but they're saying they're doing it out of abundance of caution. But it sends tremendous bells. It sends tremendous signals. And so, as you point out, they are there voluntarily. They will be sworn in, and then they will invoke their Fifth Amendment rights. What we often and usually see with gangland leaders, with people who are on the outs with the law. And so we have two business executives now of a failed company that are going to Congress that will refuse to testify on the basis that the testimony might incriminate them with regard to their relationship with Congress, the Department of Energy, and whether, in fact, there was any relationship at all with the Department of Energy and the Obama White House in getting this so-called favored treatment.
Right. I mean, of course, this is within their legal rights.
Yes.
However, it does lend an appearance that there's some there. In fact, Congressman Fred Upton asked today, what are they trying to hide? So how will congressional investigators get to the bottom of this if they don't talk?
Good question. Congressional investigators will have the documents. There is several different investigations going on right now, including a Department of Justice investigation into that company and its operations. And what Congress will be looking for, and what the Department of Justice will be looking for, is one person to come forward who they give immunity to, meaning protection from prosecution, to spill all of the beans, to say, this is what happened on this date, this is what happened on that date, this is what happened on that date. Now, it may turn out that it's all harmless. It may turn out that there was just negligence, that there wasn't criminality. But if one person comes forward and says, I'm going to tell you what happened, but at the same time, you need to protect me from any kind of indictment going forward, that may take the whole thing apart.
So their lawyers are suggesting that they plead the fifth, right, to
Yes.
avoid self-incrimination here, because the FBI has now gone in and raided the company's headquarters. You're a lawyer.
Yes.
Is this the type of thing that you always advise your clients? Is this standard operating procedure, even if they're not guilty of anything?
The congressional testimony would be the most wide-ranging testimony possible. Why was a Solyndra-related person going to the White House? What is the relationship of Mr. Kaiser to this company? What were the negotiations with regard to the federal government walking away from a first position on repayment that they should have had under the legislation, meaning that the government should come first? Was there favoritism? Is this crony capitalism? What do you know? When did you know it?
Right,
and if they lie
about guilty, why not just answer
if
some
they
of those?
lie about one thing, then they face what Mr. Clemens faced. Perjury charges. There's something called obstructing Congress. That is a federal charge. This is going to be a dramatic session. It pinpoints the issues legally in a criminal sense, but also politically for the White House, because potentially their testimony could be absolutely dynamite for the White House, absolute dynamite for this election, and give an inkling and a glimpse into how these billions of dollars of contracts are being dispensed, maybe for hundreds of jobs created.
Well, sure. I mean, politically, their testimony could be inflammatory for the White House, but them also saying, I plead the fifth, I'm not going to say anything, could also be explosive for the White House.
It's explosive, and it's not going to go away. The Oversight Committee is also looking at how all of these government contracts, all of these loans have been let. I looked at just 5 loans, $9 billion.
You mean of the stimulus?
Right. Do you know how much that created? 225 jobs.
I can't do the math on the fly, but that doesn't seem like a good bargain.
$6, $7, $8 million a job. This is dramatic, and this is going to continue. And the picture of these folks taking the Fifth Amendment is going to be ingrained in people's memories for a while, and it will stimulate even more investigations and ramp up the Department of Justice. You may need a special prosecutor in this before it's all over to see really what happened.
But I mean,
in
it
this
does
case.
sound like you're saying that they don't necessarily need all their testimony. If they have this reams of documents, they
Their
might still be
testimony
able
is
to get
helpful.
some
I mean, in the end, they're hoping that someone will give it up in exchange for immunity. They don't need it at this point, but it would be helpful.
Sure, gotcha. Peter Johnson Jr., thanks so much
Good to
for
see
coming
you.
and explaining all of that.